if you want to surf like Victor Bernardo, let's go ahead and study his technique, his style, and his approach to the wave here. There's so much to learn. He's such an incredibly talented surfer, so let's break it down. So the first thing I want to point out is as he goes, well, first of all, actually notice where he's taking off on the wave. It's probably hard to see from the initial part of it, right? But you can see that there's this lip in front of him. So he's taking off right on the peak or slightly behind the peak, and that's putting him in a place where he's going to be able to come from around, okay, and place that turn in the pocket of the wave where the power source is. So where you position yourself to catch the wave is the first element of this. And obviously you got to catch the wave. Now as he goes into it, he's studying it, okay, and he's waiting, he's trying to figure out, okay, where am I going to place my bottom turn? Because he's trying to figure out what line am I going to take that's going to put me in the right position to place that top turn. And as he initiates that bottom turn, notice how he does it. He begins to compress. Okay, so notice how he begins to compress. And one of the common mistakes is only compressing with that upper body, which is just going to get you in that poo man stance, and it's probably going to make you fall over. But he's really compressing with his legs, right? And applying that pressure on that toe side rail. And as he does this, notice the board begins to tilt on its rail, okay? And notice this compressed position. So really what he's doing, notice his line of sight. He's studying the wave in front of him to try to figure out where is going to be the optimal place to do this turn, all right? And so you can see this lip is right above him. And, you know, placing the turn right here is probably going to mean that lip is going to come down on him and it's just going to hit him and smash him off the wave. So he has to place that turn a little bit further out on the face so that there's the right steepness of the section for him to place his turn. So he holds this position, and as he does, notice that the board turns around because of that toe side rail pressure. The other thing I want you to notice is what happens with his back arm. He ends up swinging it. So you can see that real swing with the back arm. Notice how far back it goes. And that just gives him an extra little torque, okay, to redirect the board so it goes up. Now again, look at the way the wave looks. This section is really steep. And I think from a mental perspective, this is something you're gonna have to wrap your head around as you're trying to do these more critical turns, is getting comfortable with being in this, you know, so close to the energy of the wave and in the pocket, right? And placing it in the right place. Again, if you did it right here, that lip is probably gonna come down on you. So he's probably gonna try to do it further out there, all right? And so as he comes out of his bottom turn, notice how he goes from this compressed position to extending with the legs, right? So his legs are nearly at full extension here. And so that compression to extension is going to give him extra projection when he's going up into the lip. And as he goes up into it, a couple things I want to point out. So the first is, notice how vertical the board gets, but notice also how high he gets. So his front foot is actually just above the lip, and you can see a decent amount of that board above the lip. So visually, that's a mental cue. That's how high up you're going to want to get, right? So if you cut your turn short and you're just down here, and you know the board is only like this, it's obviously not going to make for the most powerful, dramatic turn, right? You're trying to get up into the lip is where you're trying to go. Oh man, it looks so sick. And so notice now what is going on with that upper body. Okay, so look, for example, at that back arm. So his arms are out like this. His arms start, look at that back arm. It starts over here, all the way behind him. And as he goes up into it, notice that he swings that arm forward. So the arm goes forward, and what he's doing is he's rotating that upper body. Okay, and so that rotation of the upper body helps guide the board. Now it's not just upper body rotation as well, right? He's shifting that pressure from what was on his toe side rail to now it's on his heel side rail, okay? And so the switch of pressure from that toe side rail to the heel side rail, combined with the rotation of that upper body, and then also just getting up onto that lip, right? So now pretty much only the very back of his board is engaged, and the fins as well is engaged with the wave, and then that energy from that lip coming at him, and gravity as well, just swinging the nose of his board, is going to basically bring the board around so he can come back down into this turn. And you'll also notice he goes from having a compressed back leg to an extended back leg, right? And so putting that all together obviously makes for just this beautiful looking turn. Now as he comes down, all right, I should point out this requires good commitment and balance, okay? His board, you know, he's kind of airdropping a little bit, you see, right? Because he just went up into that lip, and you can see that lip is crashing down now. So here, he's eyeing how he's gonna come down. Notice how his arms, he's starting to kind of rotate his body so his body's facing forward, and he's gonna compress down onto he's gonna compress into the board to soften that landing. Okay, and so when you do this, what's gonna have to happen, what you're gonna want to do so you don't slide out, is you're gonna try to find the right amount of pressure, both the back foot and the front foot. But usually what you're gonna do is you're gonna apply pressure to the back foot first. Now, if you apply too much back foot pressure, you're just gonna slide out from the bottom, slide out from the back, and the board is gonna shoot in front of you. Okay, so you gotta find that right balance of pressure to get onto, to land that right there. All right, but you are gonna land with kind of your tail first, as he does here. And notice how he gets compressed again, and that's just to soften the landing. And then immediately, he's looking and he's trying to figure out, okay, where am I gonna do the second turn? Right, does this little mini pump and then goes right back into it. Very similar to what he did before. And again, just look at the placement, just perfect placement of that, of the top turn. Because you can see this lip, you don't want to go right into it. Instead, he does it right perfectly. Right, so look at this section that he's doing it in. It's a little bit softer. It's right in front of where the lip is going to throw. And bam. Notice how rotated his hips and his knees get when he does this turn. All right, so he goes from facing, okay, one way and just really rotates. Notice how kind of shifted forward he is. All right, that alignment, and that's, I think, what makes it look so stylish, and how low and compressed he gets to that board. I think that's what makes his style look so good. And the one last thing I'll say here is, you know, notice just how loose he looks with his upper body. It's like a pendulum. He's just swinging with his upper body. There's no stiffness to it. And that flow and that casual elegance, I think, is what makes his surfing just look so incredible. Now, obviously, we can't all surf like Victor Bernardo, but this is something to study endlessly for inspiration. Man, because who doesn't want to surf like him? Well, give us a follow if you found this useful, and I'll see you around.